Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another rules breakdown, and this week I'm going to be covering the Quickstart version of Everyday Heroes. Now this is an updated version of the D20 Modern system, but like D20 Modern was based on the 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons rules, this is based on the 5th edition rule set, but there's some interesting little quirks in there, so that'll be quite fun as we go through. Now, as usual, I'm going to be using one of the characters out of the book as a sample. So if I turn to page 82, we can see Zapanak here, a medium human, whatever a medium human is. Medium-sized human? Probably. Now, with skills, we've got the bonuses here listed. But these are basically a combination of any bonus from the attribute that skill is derived from, plus anything for actually being trained in the skill. So basically, if he's trying, we'll say, survival. Firstly, the Games Master has to allocate a target number. Now, some sample target numbers are given on page 39, which actually lists how to do skill rolls. But basically, you're rolling against a DC, a difficulty class. Now, difficulty classes are listed here, so very easy is a 5, easy is a 10, challenging is 15, hard is 20, very hard is 25, and near impossible is 30. Well, let's say in his survival roll, he's doing it against challenging. So we're going to be rolling 1d20 and adding 6. So he's rolled a 16, he adds his 6 to get 22, so he has beaten the challenging target number and succeeded at the task. Now, if he was trying something that was hard, he'd have succeeded as well, but if it was very hard, he would have failed. And skill rolls are as simple as that. You're adding up the bonuses you get from any attributes, any training in the skill, and adding it to a d20 dice roll. It's also worth remembering that this is 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, so you have advantage and disadvantage. So if we flip back to page 35, we've got an advantage and disadvantage. When you have advantage on a roll, you have 2 d20s and take the better of the 2 rolls. With disadvantage, you roll 2 and take the worst of 2 rolls. So if I click here and we go 2d20, throw them. So on advantage, we'd be taking the 12. On disadvantage, we'd be taking the 11. Not a lot of difference in those dice rolls, but it can be important if you were going against a 15, you had a +3 bonus. If you were getting disadvantage, you would fail that. Now, initiative's dealt with on page 46. So if we flick forward to that, when combat begins, all combatants make an initiative roll. Combatants take turns in the order of highest to lowest each round. So it's d20 plus dexterity modifier, plus any feats you get, but I don't think there's any in these quick start rules. So basically, we are going back to our character on page 82. Oh, went past him. He's got dexterity of +1, so we're rolling a d20, adding +1, and he goes in 19. So he goes before anybody who has a lower roll, after anybody who has a higher roll. And it's as simple as that. Now, combat's exactly the same as 5th edition D&D as well. So basically, you are getting a d20 and you're adding any bonuses to hit. So this character with his machete has a +5 bonus to hit. So he's rolling a d20 and adding... No, that's 2d20. Clear. He's rolled a 3, he adds his +5, he's got an 8. And he's aiming for the defense of his target. So he, if he's trying to hit himself, has a defense of 13, so he's actually missed. But it's simple as that. You're getting the defense rating of the target that you're trying to hit, and you're rolling a d20 plus any attack bonuses. Now, anything further on this is dealt with on page 54 of these quick start rules. And it talks you through d20 plus ability modifier plus proficiency bonus. And it talks through ranged attacks use dexterity by default, melee attacks use strength by default, melee attacks using weapons with the finesse trait can use strength or dexterity, thrown weapons can use strength or dexterity when used as a ranged attack. You've got critical hits. If the roll is a 20, it's a critical hit and automatically successful no matter the target's defense. If a roll is 1, the attack is an automatic failure no matter the modified value. And the section on damage details that if you get a critical hit, you'll be rolling 2 damage dice. Not getting the bonuses, but we'll deal with that when we come to damage. Now, damage is dealt with on page 58. So if we flick on a few pages, we've got the different types of damage here. We've got anything with damage reduction, and we're talking about taking damage. Well, damage is basically based on the weapon you're using. So if you go back to page 26, which has the weapons on it, we can see that a pistol pocket 38 revolver does 1d6 ballistic damage. A machete or large knife does 1d6 slashing. An unarmed does 1d4 bludgeoning. And we've got certain amounts of damage here. Now, as I said, if you're rolling critical, if you manage to roll a 20, you're rolling 2 of those dice. So we didn't, but just as an example, we didn't hit, but we're rolling a d6 for his machete, and he has done 2 points of damage. Now, because it's Dungeons & Dragons rules, you're adding strength bonus to that, so we're going back to the character. Page 82 it was. And he's got a +2, so he's doing 4 points of damage. 2 points from the dice and 2 points from his attribute. So if he'd succeeded in his attack against himself, he'd have done 4 points of damage. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that armor is very different in Everyday Heroes to it is in D20 Modern, and it is in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. This character is not wearing any armor, so it doesn't matter. But if we turn back to page 60, we can see personal armor is wanted to defend the wearer against serious wounds. It only comes into play when a combatant will be dropped to 0 hit points by an attack, by stopping the damage on a successful armor save. So you take damage as normal until the damage is more than the hit points you've got left. So this would have been 4 points of damage, only really counts until they've got 4 or less hit points. In that case, then you compare the armor's value to the attacker's penetration value. If the armor value is equal or higher, go to step 2. If the penetration value is higher, the armor doesn't help you. Go to step 3. Now, if we go back to page 26 to have a look at the weapons, we can see the machete does 1d6 damage and has a penetration value of 1. And on the very next page, we've got the only set of armor, Advanced Armor Ballistic Vest Medium, which does a 15 save bonus, an armor value of 3. So 1 is less than 3. It's only if the weapon's damage was higher than that we would have gone on to the next stage. But going back to page 60. So compare the armor value to the attacker's penetration value. Well, the penetration value was 1, the armor value is 3. If the armor value is higher, then go to step 2. If the penetration value is higher, the armor doesn't help you, then go to step 3. Going to step 3, the armor has been damaged. Decrease the save bonus of the armor by 5. It will now be harder to make your next armor save. You should probably buy new armor. But the 1 is less than 3, so you make a DC 20 armor saving throw. If you succeed, you take no damage. If you fail, you take full damage. So we have a 15 for the armor, so we're trying to get 5 or more. So we throw the dice, we get a 12. So it makes the save, and you take no damage. But remember, this only counts if the damage is more than the amount of hit points you've got left. And as I alluded to in that section, we go back to the character on page 82. Damage is taken out of hit points. Now, hit points are set values. You don't actually roll hit dice in Everyday Heroes. So if you go back to the characters, page 14, I think it is. So the Strong Brute gets starting maximum hit dice 1d10. The hit points is 10 plus Constitution modifier. And that's what they get each level. They're getting 10 plus Constitution modifier for being a strong character. Tough characters get 12 plus their con bonus for each level. Smart characters get 6 plus con bonus. and wise characters get 8 plus con bonus. We don't know what the other two get yet. Now when you've taken hit point damage, much like 5th edition, you get short and long rests. Now these are dealt with on page 60, so we'll flick to that. It's page 60. Short rests. A short rest lasts for 1 hour, during which you can eat, drink, nap, read, chat, and tend to your wounds. At the end of a short rest, you can spend 1 or more hit dice up to your maximum hit points to recover lost hit points. So that's where the hit dice come into it. So if you get 6 hit points for being a smart character, you can roll 1d6 back during a short rest to heal back. For each hit dice spent, roll the appropriate dice and add them together. You can spend them 1 at a time. Long rests. You rest for 8 hours, during which you must sleep for at least 6 hours. At the end of the long rest, participants recover their hit points maximum and regain a number of spent hit dice up to half their full hit dice. You can only take 1 long rest in a 24-hour period, and you must have 1 hit point or more to benefit from a long rest. So the reason why they need to have 1 hit point for a long rest is dealt with on the page before. So 0 hit points. When a hero takes damage such that they are reduced to 0 hit points, they immediately either die or fall unconscious. If the damage taken, in excess of the amount needed to reduce a hero to 0 hit points, is greater than their hit point maximum, they die immediately. So what that means is, if your character has 8 hit points maximum, they're reduced to 1 hit point, and then they take 9 hit points, so 1 to get them to 0, then their maximum hit points more, in 1 attack, then they die like that. Otherwise, they're fallen unconscious. At 0 hit points, you make death saving throws. So anytime a hero starts a turn with 0 hit points, they must make a death saving throw using a d20. There are no modifiers for a death saving throw. So death saves. If you roll a 20, you heal 1 hit point, regain consciousness, and may take their turn normally. A 10 to a 19, they will score 1 success. If it is their 3rd success, they stabilize. 2 to 9, they score 1 failure. If it is their 3rd failure, they die. And if they roll a 1, they score 2 failures. If it's their 3rd failure or more, they die. So you've got 3 attempts, 3 attempts to make successful ones. If you roll a 20, you come conscious again. Otherwise, you just stabilize on 1 hit point, and you can take long rests and be healed up normally. If you get 3 fails before you get those 3 successes, then your character dies. And Everyday's Heroes is a Dungeons & Dragons based system, so level based. So if we flick to page 29, gaining levels. Heroes gain levels when they reach a milestone. Milestones are moments in the story where the heroes have overcome many trials and become stronger. So there's no experience points yet. It's just a milestone-based system. I imagine they'll introduce that in the full set of rules. Here's what you get when you gain a level. Feats from your class table. Talents from your class level. Possible defense bonus advancement from your class level. Possible proficiency bonus advancement from your class table. Additional maximum hit dice based on your base class. Additional maximum hit points based on your hit dice. So if we go back to one of the character classes, so going up level from 1st to 2nd, they're going to be getting the talents, so 2 minor feats or 1 major feat, and cover seeker. Their proficiency bonus will be staying the same, their defense bonus will be staying the same, they'll be gaining focus, and they'll be gaining 10 plus their constitution modifier, 8 plus their constitution modifier, hit points, an extra 1d8 hit dice for healing up. So that's a brief look through the rules of Everyday Heroes. They look very familiar if you played a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. They're very fast, easy set of rules. There's a couple of interesting little quirks in there. The armor especially is very different to anything I've seen in a Dungeons & Dragons type game before. I'm not sure how I think it will work. I quite kind of like the idea that armor only saves you from dying. You still take damage as normal before that. Makes combat a lot more dangerous because you're living on the edge. Your armor's just there to save your life, and at any moment it can fail. So that's an interesting one. But I kind of like them. I definitely like D20 Modern, and I like what they're doing here. I'm definitely going to be intrigued to see what they do further with this system, and I'm going to be keeping an eye open for it. But, as usual, I've whittled on for quite long enough. So thank you very, very much for watching. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.